What a huge weekend for the rookies in SuperCoach. The cheapies saved us. This is the Phantom speaking. Welcome back to the Phantoms there, the post-round 3 edition. 5 names, the rookies absolutely dominated. Saved me.
Oh, they saved you. They made my weekend. They were beautiful.
Now, the Chief. Now, we do play SuperCoach, to get the bragging rights to our mates. We enjoy the footy when playing SuperCoach, but the main reason we enjoy SuperCoach is when our friends don't go so well and make some big blues, and the rookies might have looked after us and a lot of the SuperCoach community out there. We'll get to the ramifications of that shortly. But Chief, welcome back to the podcast. What happened? Is it true that you did not field Sam Davidson on the weekend?
It is true. I'm trying to find, we just played it before, bit of sad music.
What happened?
Sam Davidson on the weekend. I was just panicking. I'm like, you know what? I'll loop my rookie. I'll just loop him on field, get that. I saw him play last week, thought he looked amazing. Get that nice score on field. Just loop one of my other rookies. Alas, did not have any other rookies to loop. Don't know what I was thinking. It was the first game of the round. I was very scared to put him on field. Yeah, just didn't get the 129. And then to add salt to the wound,
Yeah, man.
Elijah Hewitt named the sub on the Sunday as well. So I had to deal with that. I'll tell you what, I did all right on socials though. So at least
You handled it well, mate. You really magnanimously.
But you are bottom of the pot. Again.
Are we starting with me again?
2 in a row. We're just saying, everyone wants to know who's bottom of the pod. That is you. The punishment is coming.
Yeah.
5 names has got some seriously hot sauce at home, and you're going to do it.
Do you have it already, dude?
No, but I'll find something.
Okay.
Apparently there's a place where you have to sign a waiver.
That'll be you, I think.
Yeah.
I can't handle just spicy noodles, let alone that. So it's going to be struggling.
Well, stay tuned for that on socials later in the week. But a big show, a big week of SuperCoach, of course. If you're not already, watch on Code Sports YouTube channel. Subscribe there and leave us a comment as well. We want some more ratings and some feedback on wherever you listen to your podcast, Apple, Spotify. Let us know. Get us a bit further up. Dossie?
Up the rankings, yeah, for sure.
Big week in the AFL SuperCoach podcast as well, of course, breaking even with our Peyton on Wednesday, the live show on Thursday night too. Live teams, a very important video and podcast to listen to before the round kicks off. And our man, the Chief, on Sunday night with a bit of draft action. He's pivoting 5 names. Every time he has a bad week, he makes sure the draft podcast happens. Got something to fall back on. So listen to that on Sunday. It's out now.
It is out now, yeah. That won't be a weekly fixture, but yes, maybe if I have a bad week in Classic, I'll be jumping on there. That's for sure.
Let's quickly go through our team. We are starting with you, bottom of the pod. What happened besides the rookie errors?
Yeah, look.
Interesting week of SuperCoach.
Yep, 19-11 for me. And I've got to say, I'm stoked with that after what it was looking like before a couple of big scores that will be my hero shortly. But yeah, just a bit of a stinker week. I'm sure a lot of people face the same issues. Rookies going poorly. Our top trade targets from last week in someone like a Xavier Lindsay getting a 9. I brought in Levi Ashcroft. I wasn't an owner. He got a 36 odd. So, I mean, it was just a bunch of those decisions, plus a Sam Davidson 129 sitting on my bench, and that 19-11's looking very pretty. But yeah, I did storm home like a steam train with the Sunday game, so we'll talk about that in my heroes in a second, fans.
That's a good story too, 5 names, because that was a very funny 30 minutes when old Chief thought he was going to come storming past us, top of the Reed, top of the pod. Our man,
top of the pod was in reach there for a second.
Our man Murphy Reed, but 5 names, top of the pod you are this week. You are going next.
1945. Probably should have had more if I really wanted to. I took McRae's VC. Was going to have Brayshaw as my captain, but so went a little bit safe there. Pretty happy with it considering a lot of my guys actually didn't go well. Like I've got a lot of look at my team. Like there's a couple of big scores, but there's a lot of guys who actually didn't do well. I had an absolute mare with my trading. It was amazing how not going Finn Callahan actually went worse than trading Finn Callahan. I traded in Tom Powell.
Ooh.
And had to watch that yesterday while I was covering the game and watching him get the footy, but absolutely burn it or just give away free kits. And it was, really quite annoying.
At least you backed in your pew-pew.
I went my heart and it hurt.
1931 for me, moved 2,000 spots up the overall ranking. So it's pretty happy, not happy with the ranking overall, but happy with where the team's sitting to launch from here. Again, like 5 names, a lot of poor scores. I was worried through the weekend that it was going to be a low overall total, but the rookies did come through and deliver. The ones we spoke about, Murphy Reid, a Supercoach ton for him, even the Jackson Pryor and Luke Trainer as well in defence. So suddenly the rookie defenders are looking okay, but we'll move on because we do have plenty to talk about. We'll touch on those rookies. We'll look at the top trade targets ahead of round 3 DPP action coming up shortly too in a couple of weeks. Got to factor that into your trades, but I want to hear about your heroes. Chief?
Yep.
What have you got? Heroes and villains, round 3.
Keen to talk about my hero. Came storming home on the Sunday game. Luke Jackson. What a masterstroke from yours truly. He's only one of his only good moves of the year. But look, I had Matt Flynn to start with as well, but I wanted to start with someone, Luke Jackson, that could cover in case Matt Flynn did drop out. And guess what? He's already out of the team. So slotted him into my R2 and geez, look how good he's been. So 165
Big,
on the weekend
massive.
against West Coast. Had him captain last week. Should have been this week. What a man. What a performance.
5 names?
This person it wasn't my highest scorer, but I'm just going to give this guy love. Jake Saligo.
Your man. Yep. Well played.
I mean, you are screwing him over.
Oh, here we
points.
go. This message came through. We meant to be covering the game again. Of course, he messaging me about Supercoach scores, which that's why you're on the show. That's why you're on the show.
Scale him up. He deserves more points. His game was better than a 108. Scale him up.
Jake Scalego.
Saligo. Come on, Phantom. You did it for Bont. Do it for Jake Saligo.
Well, there was a few points taken off him in the crowd yesterday as well. A big plus 12. Nick Larkey just popped one up goal late in the last quarter. Fence sitting down there behind the goals at the southern end. Saved a couple of old ducks behind me. Got up there out of the seat. Big outstretched hanger. Handball to Phantom Jr. Got to kick it over the fence. So I'm my hero for the week. But no, seriously.
Go find that timestamp on KO.
He had more of an impact on the game than Elijah Hewitt had in the derby.
No, but my actual hero again. Now, for the 3rd week running, it's going to be 4 as well next week. The worst selection I'm going to make this year, Dane Zorko, another 130. Hero.
Yeah.
And Richmond this week.
Right.
So I think you can just, do you want me to record my hero for next week now?
Yeah, Dorco, he's been a good pick. He's been a good pick. He's, I'm sorry.
His mate hasn't been so good.
I'm sorry. It was a bad call by me. He's started on fire. I can't deny it.
Well, who's your villain other than yourself?
My villain has to be Chris Scott, I'm afraid. Now, he's probably going to be in the pan later. It doesn't care. He's going to be my villain as well because Tom Stewart, obviously I thought he was going to be out. He ends up being out, named in the team all weekends to give me a glimmer of hope. Why do that to us? We knew he was going to be out. He's on the plane. Who cares? Why do that on the team sheet? Then you have Baz Lenker, who had a 1-week calf. Strange. But anyway, he's on the plane. He plays. It's the 1 week I need Chris Scott to do something and pull him out of the team so I get that 129 from Davidson. He doesn't do it. Then he puts Mitch Nevitt the sub. So that's my villain for the week.
And who did he sub off as well?
Yeah.
Who did
Sam DeConing.
Oh, Sam DeConing. So, don't remind me. Well, I'm just looking at my team now because Sam DeConing's out because of that. But Chris Scott, seriously, villain, Supercoach villain regular. But this week in particular, that's all 4 players are in my team. So thanks for that.
He was in the pan, but just a bit of a preview. There's not a lot of room in the pan this week. Big name, friend of the show, squarely in the pan by himself. Absolutely sizzling.
All right. I was actually going to have Chris Scott as my villain, but I'm going to go something a little different. And I know we all move on very quickly, but Cyclone Alfred has really has really screwed over my Supercoach season. I wasn't going to start with Lockie Neal because of Cyclone Alfred. I was going to start with Libba.
Oh.
And then that happens. the Geelong-Brisbane game gets moved to last weekend. Sweet. Don't have to worry about the early buys. Great. Lockie Neal, great pick. No, he's been tagged. He's got tagged to nothing. Went all right against the Eagles and then got 71 this week. Meanwhile, Libba, just killing it.
Yeah. I was wrong. Dane Zorko wasn't the worst pick of the season. Lockie Neal was. At least to start the season.
Do you know what? It's actually fun owning Libba because, he runs around with his Homer Simpson tattoos, you just feel good about owning Libba. Like it'll backfire you eventually, but it's fun while it lasts.
Your villain fans?
It's a sad day in the Lair. Taking this picture down.
Yep.
Jason Horne-Francis, the horny one.
He's down. He's off.
He's
off the wall.
He's off the wall until further notice.
Yep.
Until he stops
face
dropping.
down on the couch.
Face down, absolutely.
Can't look at him at the moment.
He wouldn't want to look at himself on the weekend either because a couple of absolute sodas. Couldn't pick up the footy. It was better in the last quarter. Obviously, that ripping goal and had a bit of an impact as Port made a little bit of a run, but they were poor. He was poor. 75-point average for the horny one at the moment. And we half apologised to our last week.
No, we've got to keep the faith. Come on, Phantom.
But just quickly, taking that forward, the villain forward, the horny one, people are talking about jumping off now. Trudy, now friend of the show, on fire.
Didn't she say don't mention my trades?
Yeah. No, we're going to mention it. But first thing she said to me about this weekend was should have stuck to her guns, should have followed through on the Horne-Francis trade, but no, Fan told her to hold. She wasn't happy. Could you consider trading Jason Horne-Francis now? Are we sticking fat? A lot of super coaches out there are probably going to move him on, or at least want to move him on. What do we think?
There he is again, the Horny One.
Tim?
Dossie?
I think I'm holding for now.
Second most traded out player at the time of recording.
I'm going to hold, but I can see why people would want to trade or at least looking at it.
Yep.
Butters could be back this week.
That helps him, yes.
That helps him, rather than. I mean, it was just a weird game though from the Port midfielder thing. Like Rosie didn't really do anything. He was out of the game, and for us just going like, especially in the first three quarters, it was just like going over their heads a lot. Like midfielder, Ollie Wines was the only real Port midfielder that had a bit of an impact on the game, and then Horne-Francis, like it's obviously he's just bit down to start the year. Like he dropped 2 absolute sitter of marks that he normally would have. That would have helped. And then like fourth quarter, he pretty much put them on his back, and he was the only way they're actually going to look like they're going to win.
I think the thing I'm looking at as well, if you are deciding to trade, which I mean, I think it's a line ball call. Like I think you could go either way. If you've got some major things that you need to fix up in your team, we're going to talk about soon. There's some couple of value options up forward that could really, get you a bit of cash to spend elsewhere. But he's got St Kilda, Hawthorn, Sydney in his next 3. And those are 3 of the teams that I would say right up there for your tag threats. So we've seen St Kilda deploy the tag before. Hawthorn, Finn McGuinness was back in action on the weekend, which is scary stuff, taking down Finn Callaghan, who was started on fire, ended up on a 55 with a bit of attention from old Finn Callaghan there. Oh, sorry, Finn McGuinness. Sydney, James Jordan after that. So if Butters is back, that's probably going to help his case. But still, like 3 pretty tough matchups. If you do, you're potentially going to cop a tag the moment.
You're leaning towards it, are you?
The other thing is if you are going into the camp of trade, or at least something to look out for, is Port's forward line. Still don't know how that's going to look. Like Soldo, Advanced Soldo is not the answer there. Does Ollie Lord come back in? But does it mean because they're a bit shorter there that Horne-Francis has to go forward and play a bit more forward than we thought he would have to? Because he can be that kind of, like Dangerfield, dusty kind of player up there. Do they need him to provide a spark up forward?
Maybe. But the question is, he's still going to be at top 6, isn't he? Do you think if you trade him now, you're doing it for value? You spoke about the option, Bailey Humphrey, which we'll talk about soon, make some money there, but you're going to want him back in your team, aren't you? That's what I think.
In which case, save the trade and just try and fix your team elsewhere.
That's what I think.
Yeah. That's where I'm at.
I mean, it wouldn't be again. I mean, obviously people just don't back themselves in. But, if you got a trade and it really makes your team better, then you can go for it. But, I think the easy move is to just hold and see how it goes. If it's terrible, then jump off.
Yep.
Quick shout out to the Phantoms Lair League. Spud Guns Clayton top has moved up one spot, 4th overall. And again, we have still 7 coaches in the top 100. 7 coaches in the
top 100 in the Listener League. If you do want to jump on, 719067, still time to jump on. We're going to stop the entries, I think, at the first of the major buy rounds, and we'll figure out a prize for that. We'll figure out some sort of, bit of merch, something like that, fans.
We will.
Bit of hot sauce, bit of gherkin, pickle
juice.
juice.
Got any pickle juice left?
I got one bottle.
What if one of us win it?
We have to scroll a fair way down to find us at the moment. So.
Actually, on the pickle juice, Dossie.
Yeah, that occurred.
Did you know? But did you need it on the weekend?
Oh,
little cramp post game.
Did you take the bottle?
I didn't actually. I left it here because I thought we might need Sim to do it for bottom of the pod, but he survived this week. So
driving
in the 90s. So Supercoach score.
Yeah,
he told you that as well.
He told me that. Yeah, I don't know.
All right, moving on, guys. Round 4 fans. Got a big week ahead. Best 18 for the last week in the early bye rounds, though. Hawks and Essendon, the teams on the bye this week. Not a heap to worry about, really, in that sense. Like, no major premiums apart from maybe a Will Day. I mean, plenty of people owned him. And by the way, if you held him, well done. Big performance on the weekend. Could have been even bigger.
Didn't score pretty much outside that second quarter. Bits and pieces outside that.
Still
was
good
huge.
signs with tough opposition on him there. So good signs going forward if you did hold, and he's got a nicer schedule after the bye. So I think you're still holding, right, fans, through that. Maybe we can talk about that in the trade or hold segment.
We get our Pies and Swans back as well. Some big names there, some big rookie names.
Yeah. So what do we do now that we're heading into the last week of the bye rounds? Sim, is we got to start thinking about getting this best 22 following this week. How should our trading sort of strategies be going this week? And should we be looking to use yet another boost this week? What do you think?
I reckon maybe a boost is a bit too aggressive. I don't
Depends
know.
if you used one.
Yeah, it depends if you use one.
Already.
If you already used one, then maybe you don't want to get rid of them too early. But I still think there's time for fix-up trades. I think still, if you've missed a rookie, if you missed, maybe one of the better mid prices, I still reckon we're in that kind of that phase of the season.
I think you're not maybe trading Harry Sheasel for Jack Sinclair. Given we're going to go into the best 22, you want to be making sure now that your bottom 5 or 6 are going along okay, because this is where the ground's going to be made up. It's still very tight in the overall rankings. You might notice you scored okay, might not have moved a lot. There's not a lot separating, 5,000 spots in that top 20,000. So I'd make sure you're improving that bottom end of your team for the next month and making sure you've got all that cash now, because now the race is on to see who can start upgrading first, and meaningful upgrades to come round 8 or 9 ahead of the buys.
So still all about the rookies then at this point, fans? Or are you still looking, if you get the opportunity, a bit of a downgrade, upgrade sort of situation? Or is it mostly still just targeting those rookies that we're about to talk about?
If you've got some cash, maybe you made a few trades in the opening 2 rounds and given yourself some bank, then maybe you can do it. If you need an extra rookie downgrade, then you can go up and go early on an upgrade, and not a typical upgrade, but that's still improving your team. A few stepping stone options as well, which interesting at this point of the year. Can they be better on field than some of these rookies? Yes. Will they get you to a premium quicker in 3 or 4 weeks than the rookies? Yes. So a couple of big ticks for a couple of names that we'll talk about shortly.
All right, well, let's talk about these names. But before we get into our segments, reminder, SuperCoach Plus trial, fans, of course, has now run out. So that ran out last Tuesday. If you're missing those break-evens, if you're missing your live scoring for matches, see that in game day on the weekend. Follow your scores live. SuperCoach Plus is the answer, fans.
And your advantage will be running out soon too if you don't get on important numbers, vital numbers to SuperCoach success, to trade on the run, give yourself all the data to make those informed choices. As we said last week here, SuperCoach Plus is like listening to us, but just none of the waffle. Straight to the point. Straight to the numbers.
Speaking of straight to the point, it's time to talk about rookies on the bubble. Let's get to it. These are the players that have not yet played 3 games and their bubble is about to burst. Their price rise is about to go up. We're also going to be talking about players that have played 3 games that still have money to be made, but these are the ones that are just about to go up in their big, monstrous price rise fans. Who have we got this week?
Some good ones again as well. Now, we said your Lindsays and your Ashcroft absolute must-haves last week.
Yeah.
And look what that happens there. So you can always hard to predict.
One we did say was must-have though, or maybe very close to must-have. Nathan O'Driscoll.
Yep.
He did well.
He was your number 1 target, so at least you know
he
that
was
one
very
fancy.
good. Riley Bice.
Yeah.
Back from the bye this week was huge in the win over Freo 2 weeks ago. Mature age. We talked about him all pre-season. Didn't get a game early, but now he's in there. 113K. Not have to get him in because we're not going to maybe go that far, but negative 81 break even.
Have to get him in.
Have to get him in?
Have to get him in.
Even if you took Connor O'Sullivan last week?
Maybe not have to get him in.
Do you
I don't
make
know,
room
man.
for
He
him?
looks
Is he
really good.
Do you make room for him?
Obviously structure dependent, team dependent, all the rest. I think if you got O'Sullivan, you're still keen to get Bice, and obviously if you have no O'Sullivan, you're incredibly keen to get Bice.
Yeah.
So I think Bice just should be. He's a fieldable rookie. He's a fieldable on-field rookie in defence, so long as obviously he's not the sub. Which we hope after that performance before the bye that he's not going to be the sub ever again.
All of a sudden, we've actually got some interesting defender rookie options.
We do.
Do you remember we had not a lot to start the season with? We got him, a couple of, Trainer and Reed have been went well last week.
Yeah.
We've actually got some guys, of Sullivan, of course.
Jackson Pryor.
I think it was 88, 90 for, your Trainer and Reed, and then it was a 77 again for O'Sullivan. So, like you said, a lot of suddenly our rookies in defence don't look so dire. Plus, we've got a Bice coming off the bye. So
You're not trading any of those names yet, are you, for Bice?
no, none of those 3.
No.
They're still going well and truly up.
Maybe some DPP action if you can. Xavier Lindsay, if you can maybe trade him down to Riley Bice. I'm going to trade Ben Patton, still get him on my bench. Easy trade there to bring Riley Bice in. But onto the Lindsay trade, or in the midfield, the second best option, not far behind. Negative 79 break even in the 90s on the weekend as well. Christian Moraes from the Power. 5 names as man. Now, we might have to go back probably almost the first show or second show of the pre-season. 5 names came storming in from Alberton, introduced us to Christian Moraes, involved a lot at Port Adelaide Train. They love him, and 5 names ahead of the curve.
He's my boy.
Yep. 113K. Are you bringing him in this week?
I am. I think that's going to be my move this week, bring him in. He looked really good on a wing.
Yep.
It's going to correlate to something I'll speak about later on, that him being on the wing. Butters could come back in, so that I imagine Cochrane would go out then in that case. So maybe there's a slight sub risk given that Moraes was sub the first week, but he has played well enough to suggest that he should get a good opportunity.
In a game that was horrible to watch, 27 touches, 85%, just the one clanger.
He's clean with
as well for the second gamer.
He's clean. He's a very clean player.
Stood out.
Amazing. 50 in the first week, that's going to be enough to make your coin anyway.
Well, because at first, he came on in the first or second quarter as a sub.
Huge.
So 2 good options. I'm probably going to go both of them.
Yeah, me
this
too.
week. Xavier Lindsay out. 1 week. Been cleared of any major damage from that knee injury on the weekend. D's have ruled him out already for this week, said they'll see how he is this week before they determine a return to play timeline. But surely a kid in his first season, they're going to give him time.
The only thing is the D's are looking really
True.
bad. They're looking terrible.
I'll happily trade him, I think, for Moraes. Make 70-ish K.
Yeah.
Take that. How are you getting him in?
It's different for every team. And this is just for me, I've still got guys like a Foss or like a Lawler who I'm maybe considering just jumping off because they're just not making me the cash. I'm not 100% sure they're going to be able to make that cash given their roles are pretty good, but their scoring's just not there yet. Will that turn around? Maybe, but I feel like I can use that cash better elsewhere. And so for me, I'm almost looking at, maybe holding a Lindsay, hoping that it is a shorter term thing and because I feel like when he's playing, he is going to be making plenty more cash. So am I willing to ride out that donut for a number of weeks? Maybe not, but, I might have
Dossie's Donuts. We're back.
Yeah, we're back.
Ted Closey, the other one from the Cat, 119k mid-4, negative 71 break even, as well 84 and 58. Him in his first 2 games this season.
I'd be wary on him.
I'd be, Tristan.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not touched. I wouldn't go there. Obviously, if you jumped on, he should still play a few more games, but sub risk, team risk being in there. But he looks good. He ran out of gas pretty quick in that game. So it wouldn't surprise me if he's used as a sub multiple times. So if you've already got him, he's going to make you cash. But I wouldn't be jumping on even with that break even personally. But
number 4 on the list, Phantom. Somebody I'm pretty interested in. I think a lot of other people interested in as well. Yeah. You want to?
Who is it?
Do you want to
tell us? Go on. Leave us.
Dustin Martin 2.0. Bailey Humphrey.
Bailey Humphrey. Another Supercoach ton. Him on the weekend, 2 in a row.
Yep.
That's massive. 270k. Forward only for him. I think the good thing as well, we saw him in his debut season. Some of the scoring he can produce, real high impact per position like a Dusty. His CBAs aren't massive either. He's not all of a sudden first or second choice in that CBA rotation.
I think he's about 4th though.
His
CBA at 41%.
I think he was 3rd on the weekend.
41%.
His CBAs were quite good. Hang on.
So he's kind of in that 3rd or 4th, depending on how much they give to.
But still 32% in round 1 for a ton.
Yeah. I am slightly concerned with the Suns have just smoked their first 2 opponents, and it just might be that the Suns have arrived and they're going to be this powerhouse, which it's conceivable considering that their list is good. They've had Dimmer for a couple of years now, so I'd just be worried that he's able to score consistently.
Yep. Oh, definitely, and still young.
But like you said earlier, it's a stepping stone. So do you think he can do enough for enough weeks? And especially, I think they've still got a pretty nice schedule coming up as well. So
I like the stepping stone option. He's going to be good on field scoring for the next 3 or 4 weeks. He's also going to get you up to a full-on premium in 4 or 5 weeks as well, if that scoring stops. So it's not going to be a fail pick, I don't think, if he starts to slow down and struggles with consistency, through the middle part of the year, because he might already trade him by then to a premium. Only problem with him for me as well is he's a forward. A forward only. Not sure who would make way. All the forwards going pretty well. Sam Davidson.
You don't want to put Sam Davidson on your bench, trust me.
No, but could you there's a lot of DPP guys, could you put one of, a mid forward into your mid, and get
Caleb
rid of
Daniel or something up.
Bailey Smith or someone like that.
Could do. Another option we'll get to a little bit later, in a similar price bracket, he's already a forward mid from the Eagles, Ryan Maric. I like him.
Yes.
So I'll talk about him shortly.
Yep.
But he sits in that stepping stone bracket as well, and it could work.
He does. Well, let's get on to some of the other players. I'll just talk about the final ones that are on the bubble, but any interest in these names going forward? So Joel Hamling coming off the bye, Neil Erasmus, Ethan.
Yeah, my man Neil Erasmus as well.
Erasmus.
Talked him up big time fine. He looked all right on Sunday.
Hayden Young coming back soon.
Who?
Hayden Young's coming back.
Life's been playing as well. Ethan Reid, Camporelli, obviously, if he gets back in the team, with the Blues, how they're going, you'd hope he will. But I think we're looking at those top few options. There's not much below. But this is what we're talking about. So back on the rookie radar. These guys aren't on the bubble, but you've already spoken about a couple of them. Sam Davidson off the top with this incredibly low break even. He's still your number 1 target. You don't have him.
Exactly. The other one, Murphy Reid, already gone up 67k.
Yep.
106 Supercoach points for him on the weekend. He's still under 200k, so I still like it as an option.
I would have been top of the pod without Murphy Reid.
A lot of people asking.
That'd be known.
A lot of people asking, can you still jump on him? I think you can. 15 score involvements in the past 2 weeks. Only 2 clangers as well. He's been very good. Wins all his one-on-ones. Something happens when he's near the ball. I still like jumping on
I was about to say they aren't going to play West Coast every week, but they have Richmond. They have Richmond here in Gavin round, don't they?
Yep, around the Brosser. Dogs. He's been very good though. He doesn't need easy ball or a lot of ball.
Some would say the best read in Perth. Hey, does he?
Some would.
We've got the best read signs getting around the derby over there as well. So
Derby
fan.
Derby.
Come on, mate.
Murphy Reid, I like it. So if you don't like Moraes, does Murphy Reid outscore Moraes from here? I think he does.
I think, I'd be more confident in Murphy
Plus,
Reid.
you get forward status after round 5.
Yeah. So we want to improve the bottom end of our teams, getting back into the best 22. So you don't need the cash, could consider that. Or maybe you got Bice last week, or you're doing 3 rookie trades, then Murphy Reid.
Dan Curtin. Any
5 names, man.
he came good. He looked good on the
I
weekend.
look good. I reckon there's just better.
The forward
Toy-
dilemma again.
Yeah.
Yeah, 204K as well. He's gone.
There's better options who are cheaper.
I think that's the only ones we're going to seriously consider apart from. So there's a couple more here. Is it too late for Connor O'Sullivan now that you've got Bice in the mix? Yep.
Yeah, he was good though, Connor Sullivan again in the wet up there. It wasn't raining much during the night, but it rained all day. The ball was slippery. He was very clean.
Isaiah Dudley looked amazing, little small forward.
Yep.
I don't think his scoring is going to be way too unpredictable there, but looked great. And then we'll talk about Ryan Maric now, because that was West Coast. If you didn't watch that game, it was a bit of a tough watch at times, but he's now the designated kicker for West Coast Eagles. And we also saw Jeremy McGovern later in the game subbed off, injured, looking to be missing some time there with a groin injury. So you got Jeremy McGovern out. I think they subbed off Harry Edwards as well. So he's, clearly he's above them in the pecking order now. And obviously McGovern is out due to that as well. He's just taking kick-ins. He's taken heaps of kick-ins. I think you've got some stats for us, but
9 kick-ins on the weekend.
good.
Played on with 9 of all 9 as well. That's 14 kick-ins in the last 2 weeks. So he had 5 the previous week.
Yeah.
Alongside McGovern, 42 kicks in total, 39 effective disposals in the last 2 weeks, 11 intercepts as well, 12 tackles too as well. So doing it without the ball, 265K. He's not there to defend, is he?
No, he's getting the ball. He's in the prime role that you want in Supercoach. He's just able to roam back there, get the pill. He's making some mistakes. No, there's no doubt about that. But he's 20 years old. I actually thought he was like a bit older than that because he was a mid-season guy.
Yep.
He's 20 years old. Like, what more do you want as a West Coast fan? I can tell you as a West Coast fan, you want guys like this to get the opportunity and go and do something because we got nothing else at the moment.
So Jeremy McGovern, having scans, we still don't know exactly at the time of recording if you miss, how long you miss. And that obviously helps Ryan Maric in terms of, kick-ins. When they switch the ball back and share it around, he's going to get more of the footy.
Yeah.
But you don't want it to affect, he had to go play a bit more defensive, Maric, when McGovern went off. You don't want him doing that. And I don't think the Eagles would want him doing that. So hopefully they do bring someone in if McGovern is out.
I think in that case, Oscar Allen went back. Like, I think they'll do something, maybe Bailey Williams or something goes back and they bring in Matty Flynn for those that held. It's probably good signs in terms of they're going to have to shuffle it around depending on how long Gov's out for.
Do you still have Matty Flynn?
I don't. I dumped him.
Oh.
Dumped him last week.
That's a shame.
But I'm thinking Finn O'Sullivan again at that game yesterday when I wasn't taking hangers in the crowd. Did notice he had some.
Do you know what? When he says taking hand in the crowd, there was a little kid there who was just going to enjoy his time with the footy. He was going to touch. He was going to touch the sharing. It was going to be one of the best moments of his life.
Yep.
And the fans just come over, taking a Jordan Dawson like overhead contested mark on the little kid.
Wonder if one of our friends at Channel 7 can clip that up for us.
Where's your
because we can't use the footage.
Well, I'm not sure about friend if that works anymore. Channel 7 former colleague maybe. Coming up a bit later. But Finn O'Sullivan had some really good moments. He's going to be a great player, Finn O'Sullivan. Again, in the 40s for Supercoach, a few turnovers hurt him. I'm looking to trade him up to Ryan Maric for, 60K or thereabouts, just a bit less.
I think that's a pretty easy.
Take Maric for a month. Going to make serious money in that time. Hopefully going to score well in that role when best 22's on. It's going to improve my team in 2 ways. And then if it all falls apart in a month, I might be able to trade him to full and premium. So that's the plan. for me to Mac to take his value, get on the money train, but also now we're heading back into the best 22 scoring to, it's going to really improve, hopefully, that bottom end of my team as well.
Yeah, and if you're looking at his score and wondering, so he scored 33, 72, 123. Again, that 33, sub-affected.
Yep.
Played 42 minutes. He was sub the first game, but round 2 and 3, full-time minutes, taking those kick-ins, prime role. So he's definitely one that we need to consider.
Yep.
Vance, we've talked about a lot of names, but we need your top 5 targets. That's what we need here. Phantom's top 5 targets. Give it to us.
Talked about all these guys. Number 1, though, Riley Bice in defence from the Swans. Number 2, Christian Moraes. The other cash cow you need to jump on who's got that role now in the Port Adelaide side. Number 3, Ryan Maric. The money train is there. The stepping stone is on and the on-field scoring. Ryan Maric, number 3. Number 4, my man ahead of a few other names, Murphy Reid. Still think there's a value in trading him in under 200K. Number 5, Bailey Humphrey, for similar reasons to Ryan Maric. Forward only makes it a little bit harder. That's the top 5. Some good options there for different reasons. I still think it's all about that group. I don't think we want to be swapping premiums just yet at this point. So they're the 5.
Beautiful. Stay or trade's been a popular segment. You guys have to say stay or trade, just the one word. We will touch on a few of the names afterwards, though, if they warrant a little bit more discussion. But these are from the most traded out, and it's starting from the top, most traded out, going down. So let's get it going with our bit of quiz music here, as usual. Sim, kicking off with 5 names first. Xavier Lindsay, stay or trade?
Trade.
Jason Horne-Francis.
Stay.
James Leake.
Trade.
Foss, Finn O'Sullivan.
Trade.
Ben Patton.
Trade.
Even if named? Yes, it was a nod for those listening on audio platforms.
Yes.
SDK, Sam de Koning. Vance.
Stay.
Sam Lawler. This is my question.
What's his price at?
He's just over 200K still, hasn't gone up too much.
Trade.
Harry Sheasel.
I'm getting the hard ones. He's getting the easy ones. Stay.
Stay on Harry Sheasel. Matt Flynn, after what I just said before.
Trade?
That's a team base. That's a game time decision on that one.
Yeah, probably.
No more words, just stay on trade. Will Day.
Oh, again, give him some hard ones. Stay.
Elijah Sardis. Now that's one more week gone by. It's on the ball anyway.
Staying it, yeah. You should have
traded him last week.
Yeah.
Mitch Nevitt.
Go. The sub.
He's doing all the hard ones.
Stay.
Oh.
Lucas Camporelli.
Stay.
Stay. Jaden Short.
This is rigged.
Jaden Short.
Trade.
Okay. Max Gawn. Now that's a bit tougher for
Yeah, a little bit. Stay.
Lockie Neal.
Stay.
Elijah Hewitt.
No.
Mr. Sub himself.
Trade.
Christian Petrarca, only 2 left.
Stay.
And Sam Powell Pepper.
Stay.
Okay. Do we want to expand on any of these names? Is there any worth talking a little bit more about? I think we kind of touched on Xavier Lindsay already earlier.
I want to get your thoughts on Christian Petrarca, from breaking even with our Peyton. I know starting with him and is considering him trading him out potentially score of 80 points on the weekend. For him, that's 2 scores of 80 or less in consecutive weeks. The Demons are struggling. They look flat. We just spoke about how we probably should, what your trade priority should be at this point of the year, but could you trade Christian Petrarca down to a Maric or Bailey Humphrey? What do you think?
Oh, going to a mid-price option like that to me is not the way to go. Yep. I think if you're super hot on a big premium that's just, going to the next level and isn't too pricey, and maybe I want to talk
you
about
got one, do you?
as well.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Like a Matty Rao.
Ooh.
And I think Al might be
there?
thinking about this. I would consider it. I would genuinely consider it. We saw him go 120 for 10 weeks or something last year. I think he's off to a flyer, and I just want to talk about Matt Rowell, actually. I'm just bringing him in just out of nowhere. This guy's getting uncontested possessions now, where I've looked up some stats. He's getting uncontested possessions around the ground. I don't have all the stats in front of me. I should have really deep dived this, but 17 uncontested possessions. I do have them. 17 uncontested possessions in round 1, 15 in round 2. He averaged under 10 last year, and these games were few and far between for him in previous seasons. He barely touched on those numbers at all last season. His best 3 were, he had one outlier, 21 uncontested possessions. His second best was 15. He's bettered those in the first 2. So out of the first 2 games, he's doing way more uncontested work. Just look at his figure. It's trimmer. It looks like he's moving from contest to contest a little bit better. The one thing that I noticed as well, and I don't know if this is, again, just matchup based, his pressure acts are actually down quite a bit. So he's still laying the similar amount of tackles, but his pressure acts have dropped way off, which makes me think, instead of just chasing these, trying to get to every contest and lay some pressure, he's moving to get the ball himself. And that is kind of what I'm seeing a little bit. So
By marks
as it goes on. But
marks on the
actually
weekend.
getting some marks. He didn't get any the week before, I think. But Matty Rowell, I'm on board.
I like it. I like it, Dozzy.
Back to the question, though.
A career high marks.
Back to the question, I'd probably hold Christian Petrarca unless you're going to a underpriced premium Matt Rowell type.
Same story with Harry Sheasel. You were there. You asked Clarko.
I did ask
you went for the
Clarko.
Supercoach community.
Yep.
What did you ask him? What did he say? And would you trade him out?
I'm not. Well, first thing, not going to trade him out. I said, because I had a close watch on Sheasel. I was just wondering what was going on there, and he was kind of playing a little bit through the midfield, a little bit forward of the ball, and I was kind of getting a little bit annoyed because he wasn't doing, because he wasn't doing his wasn't having the impact that he normally had.
He wasn't.
So after the game, then noticed towards the end of the game they put him at halfback, where we want him. I mean, where he scored very well at. And
Saved his score,
Saved
didn't
his
it?
score. Saved his score. Asked Clarko about it. He pretty much said, Sheasel will be the first to admit he hasn't started the season the way he liked. So there's something around that. They put him to halfback. That kind of helped out a little bit because I was just turning over the ball so much.
Yeah.
So maybe they put him to a bit more halfback to help that out. He kind of said it was a week-to-week thing. So, but I think you still have to back him in.
Yep.
Unless if it absolutely goes, terrible. They just couldn't. They were just bad by foot. They couldn't get him involved.
I agree. But Clarko gave you a straight answer. Didn't play around.
No.
Good to see.
That's good. Yeah.
I'm scrambling to get the thing.
I gave you some warning too.
I didn't know you was... Anyway,
we'll get to that in a minute. No, very good. Now 5 names, just doing some good work there for the Supercoach community. Shouldn't go unnoticed.
Shouldn't. Fantastic work. Let's get on to one of our favourite segments, the listeners' favourite segment. It is unique names with 5 names.
Pew pew. He's got a good one too. He's been talking about it for the last 24 hours too.
There's been a couple. Actually, it's a good time for unique names around. Around there's some guys that we've mentioned before, like your Matt Rowells, your Bailey Humphreys. I mentioned Libba.
What about?
God, I wish I had Libba in my team.
What about you? Were pretty happy. You and I met up for a refreshment on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
And you're pretty happy with a certain demon as well. As his first thing he said to me.
Yeah, Jack Bowie did. That's one I had last week. Him and Christian Salem. Christian Salem probably not as much, but I still think he's worth looking at long term. This one is going to be a bit of a longer term look. Just put it on everyone's radar. I don't know if he's going to get DPP in the first lot, but if Jace Burgoyne plays halfback more for Port, he could challenge top 6 defender.
Yeah, I agree. He could be a top 6. He's looking unreal back there.
It's one of those things. Did you kind of what we saw him against Hawthorn in the semi-final last year? Best on ground, against he's Port's best player on Thursday night. Going back to halfback, he's gone back to a wing at times to start the season. We want to see him at halfback. Champion Data literally identified him as like the ideal Houston replacement.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I think we all Supercoach community did as well. Maybe your boy Ken that didn't, but look, he's there now. 2 games in a row.
Yeah, and when we were talking about Moraes before, because Moraes played really well on the wing, so hopefully, let's hope that Port can play, you can get by with Moraes, Drew, Boat, Jatsamete on a wing, and that means you have Burgoyne at halfback, where we want to see him. And if he could somehow get DPP the first lot, that's massive. But yeah, just want to keep an eye on.
113 Supercoach points in that final against Hawthorn. 100 week later against the Swans in the loss. 27 disposals, 26 of them were effective. Had 16 kicks, 15 of them effective on the weekend. Again, in a game that wasn't pretty to watch. A lot of mistakes. He didn't make any.
And he played 100% game.
Yeah.
Time.
Yeah.
Doesn't have much.
DPP's after round 5 this year as well, 1 round earlier. So
that might come a bit too soon for him.
Can see all the numbers as they stand at codesports.com.au and the Supercoach News app. Check it out now.
Let's try something a bit different. We haven't done heaps of questions. We've sort of mingled them in, but this episode, we're going to answer some questions, fans.
They can ask it to me directly. What question do you want to ask me?
That's our new questions thing.
So you're asking me that you're asking.
Right. Is that what you're trying to get him to load up?
Yeah, he could not get ready. So we're just letting our friend of the show, he'll be listening as well. So just letting him sweat a bit before Phry Pan comes. All right. Yeah. At the Phantom SC on X. For you to get through, some we won't answer because we do encourage feedback, barbs, whatever you want. So not all questions here. So we'll start with a few of those ones. One here, our friend Dossie, 5 names. We like this one. We had a good laugh at this. On there. Connor O'Rawden says, can Dossie please show us his classic credentials? So far, I've done the opposite to what he said, and it's got me into the top 2% for the first time. Chief, what do you got to say about that?
If they are asking that question, they can ask it to me directly. What question do you want to ask me?
So, tag 8 at HK Doss next time, you reckon?
Now look, if they want to ask that question, they can ask me directly, fans.
Is that what you're asking me? That you're asking?
I was 734th, fans, last year at round 15. If the season ended there, that was my credentials. Okay.
Before we get to the questions asked last night as well, a couple came through on there. One I wanted to read out, just need to find it. Will be worth it, I think. Mitchy D. Now, old school Lair listeners will know Mitchy D used to comment every week, just bag the hipster. Haven't heard from him in a while. Says, well. It's been a few years since I've written to the show. Disappointed to see that Matt Turner has been replaced by the team who hipster. Is he talking about you? He's talking about you.
I don't know.
Have to get some clarity on that one. Hopefully 5 names, of course.
He's got a question. So thoughts on what I should do with Cam McKenzie? I wanted to dump him at the early buy, but he's scoring well. 300K in the bank.
Jeez, if he's got
Cam McKenzie,
must be a fan of the hipster. That is a pew if ever I've heard one.
Could win the Brownlee.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, Kane Corn's a big fan of him as well. What did he say? So he wants to dump him, or he wants to hold? Sorry, I didn't.
Got him.
He's doing well, isn't he? Cam
He's
McKenzie?
got him on the buy this week. He's used his 300K to upgrade him, or keep riding.
Maybe keep it riding. I don't know. Live a little.
Break even 30. I scored 100 on the weekend. I think probably just keep him.
They got a good sketch coming up too after the bye.
Yep.
Hold for a little bit longer, milk that, see if you can hold him for a little longer. But I mean, unless you got to do something with the money.
Yeah, maybe it's too mainstream to hold him. I don't know.
Maybe. A lot of questions here about Jason Horne-Francis, about trade him, about Sheasel. I think we've probably covered that, but thanks for getting those in. Here's one, though. Jimmy says, can I read this out? Chieftains. For the rest of the season, are you keeping or dropping JHF, Gawn, El Neil, or Sarong? So if you had to drop one of those this week, big names. Tim Mitchell has also asked Gawn, Sheasel, and Neil if you're dropping one. So around the Lair, had to drop one. You can preface it with, I'm not dropping any, but if you had to choose, who would it be?
Give me the 3 again. Sorry.
It's 4. Horne-Francis, Gawn, Neil, or Sheasel.
Gone.
I was also going to say Gorn.
I just reckon Dawn. Yeah, I'd reckon it's better ruckman than forwards, and I think Sheasel will end up being top 2 defender or top 3.
I might change it to Horne-Francis. We just haven't seen a premium score from him from ages. So at least Gorn, I think, can bounce back, has the ability to bounce back. Horne-Francis at the moment, look, he's face down on our couch for a reason. He hasn't delivered so far this year. We set high expectations on him, no doubt, hoping that he bounces back. But out of those guys, I think Horne-Francis is the risk. When we said there's so many forward options, we've talked about a bunch of options here. You can probably shuffle your team around more effectively than trying to chase a different ruck, I think.
Yeah, that's why I'd probably go Sheasel. A lot of good defender premiums as well. If you're going to do it, I wouldn't be doing any of them. Another round table. We spoke about these two. I mentioned who I like. Who would you go, Maric or Humphrey? One word. 5 names?
Maric.
Yep, Maric.
Maric for me too. One for you, Chief. Maddie M says Sam Darcy, a trading option.
Yeah.
Oh, man, you were early on this.
I was.
Classic though, could trade him in.
Yep. For those followed the draft rankings, I had him number 2 in my very first draft rankings for forwards. So I was big on him. That was maybe a little spicy take, maybe for a few clicks there, but I back it up. He is an absolute gun. And look, I feel like he's going to do this to many teams this year. So, yeah, why not? Who's he going from him to? I don't know. But if you're just getting an extra premium in your forward line, I think he's safe top 6. What do you think?
Yeah, I like it. God, he is so good. He is, yeah. It'll just be fun most weeks to have him.
It is.
I like it.
He's a great own.
I
And
consider safe top 6.
Yeah, safe top 6
Bit of a
is a
stretch.
big call.
I back it in. He's going to have some. He's going to have some ceiling scores. Like he's come up against some pretty good defenders so far, and he's still popping tons.
Yep. Now Marco says, "Is Bailey Smith a must-have? He's played 2 games now. His break even is 3. Projected to go up 40k. Scored 80 on the weekend. Huge start. Slowed down as well when the Cats were overrun. 389k. Before he shoots past 400k, if you didn't have him,
Yes, bring him in.
Yeah, that game. If anyone, do you guys watch those two games going on at the same time? That was like terrible watching. Conditions were both horrible in both games. I was switching between the two, and I'm like, I can't decide which one to watch because they're both horrible. So, yeah, the 80 could have been a lot better with better conditions as well, I think, to clean up the disposal. The disposal efficiency, we know Bailey Smith, that's always a super coach issue for him, but it could have been a lot better than it was.
Last one, Jack, handle at Guru of All Sport. Trading a Rosie who could get tagged the next 4 weeks to a row. What do we think?
I actually kind of like this. I don't mind it. Although, like, Butters is back. Butters should be back soon, so he could probably get the tag. But, gee, I just like the sound of that.
What do you think?
I think I just in the past I've traded. It feels sidewaysy. I feel like you could get a lot of different points, but if there's a way that you can hold Rosie and trade some of these other rookies, and like for instance, I'm willing to dump like a Sam de Koning. He's not proven that he's going to be a full-time premium. We don't know what his role is going to be week to week. He's a guy I'm willing to jump off. A guy like obviously Perriman that we already jumped off. We thought that his role's not there. If you've got anyone in that mold, I'd rather try and get them up to a row than sideways a Rosie to a row, because next week, what if, we don't think it's going to happen? What if Rao gets tagged and he gets a 50? Now you're looking at the same issue you've got with Rosie, and you're just going back and forth between these guys, and then Rosie pops a 150. So I prefer to just keep the guys you've got at this stage, because we haven't got enough like data really to see what's actually going to happen. And get rid of the guys that we're pretty certain, like Sam de Koning. I don't think he's going to be a top 6 defender. I think he's probably made a little bit of money. He's not going to make a stack, so why not just get rid of him?
Yep, I agree.
So hopefully you've got someone like that. If not, sorry.
Thanks, as always, for being part of the show. Get on there anywhere you watch, listen, or interact. Leave us a question, feedback, banter, whatever, for next week's show. Now,
The moment you've been waiting for. Phantom's Phry Pan.
Now, there wasn't room for Chris Scott because there's a big name. big name, former friend of the show. Going with former friend. He will be listening. Now, just left us hanging, just walked out on the club, walked out on the podcast over summer. Hasn't been available either. In the world, current 2025, podcast can be done remotely. Hasn't offered up his time. Now, he did become a bit of a fan favourite. Left the fans hanging as well. Thought, okay, maybe he's done with podcasts. Doesn't want to be part of any podcast anymore. So doesn't have time for it. He's got a good, credit to him. Got a new gig interstate. Thought maybe he's just too wrapped up in that. Can't do podcasts anymore. Our former friend at Beartorius, absolutely in the middle of the pan sizzling because he's popped up with his own show. His own podcast. Cinch Footy podcast.
Don't mention it.
Well, I haven't listened yet because I can't find it on any of the podcast platforms yet. And I won't be listening. That Bear Torres, I know you're listening. Not happy. Disappointing. We thought you were better than that. Thought if you were going to have time for a podcast, you'd come back, join your old friends.
We even made time on this show for a bear well.
Yep.
And there's been a bear trail.
Yep, bear trail.
Oh, you're quite vindictive with this Phry Pan fan.
But you got to say something.
Kane Corn's having a crack at Tommy Sheridan on his podcast in the rankings. We couldn't find such footy podcasts on the rankings.
We couldn't. And I think at Bear Torres was defending Jasper too as well from a few Phry Pans ago. So we'll see. He will pop up. I'll be holding my phone close tonight after recording Monday night because he's an earlier listener.
He is.
He'll pop up. So looking forward to reading his response on next week's show.
Oh, dear.
Well, that'll do it,
Yep.
fans, I reckon. Breaking even with Al Payton, obviously on Wednesday, going to be a big show there. So get your questions in for that one. There's going to be stacks of questions answered, I'm sure, on that show. And then they've got the live show as well coming up on Thursday before the game.
Gather around coming up too.
It's going to be a Lair week that week. Lots of Lair
Stay
coming
tuned.
up
Stay
that week.
tuned.
Stay tuned.
For that.
Ooh.
There'll be plenty of content coming from this very
Who's
Lair.
in Adelaide? You coming over? Let us know.
Let us know.
Yeah.
We're going to be here. We're always here.
We'll be out and about.
Let us know as well some more ideas for the punishment.
Hot sauce
For
coming up.
bottom
Keep an
of
eye
the
on
pod, 'cause I won't be
all
bottom
the
of pod next week.
SuperCoach socials.
Hit us up. And we're going to have some ratings and review targets. If you're here at the end of the show, you're obviously a big fan of the show.
Yep.
We'd love some ratings and reviews from you guys on Apple, Spotify, wherever you're listening. Obviously, subscribe on YouTube if you're watching there and give us a like. We're going to get some goals and targets though here, fans. And I think we are currently, last time I checked, 241 total ratings. Just ratings we're talking about for Spotify and Apple. And we'll just stick to Spotify and Apple right now because that's where we want them. 241. Target for 300. I propose to you as our first target, Sim.
Yeah.
Ooh. If you type in Simeon Thomas Wilson into Google,
Oh, dear.
there's a great picture. There's
I've
a
seen
great
this.
picture. The peroxide hair. Last year's Luke Ryan style. Sam Flanders, if you will, of this year.
It's better than Sam Flanders. That's why that is disgusting.
300. That's only 59 more.
How do you think
Will
Ken
you-
would treat him if he had walked down to Albion with that?
Well, I did come in.
Will you commit to the bringing it back?
Has to be more than that because
350?
500.
I think it's going to be the ultimate. Is the,
That
for the off-season. You do it for the
I
off-season.
did my hair. I scalp bleached my hair 3 times that year. At the end, it gets really, really it burns and it itches. It's really annoying to do.
500 for that. Maybe we think of some smaller stuff at 350, but 500, that is the target.
Yep.
For Sim to go the full. But if you look it up, it's a great picture.
Yep.
It's good.
We want it back.
I liked it. It was fine.
All right, that'll do, fans.
Yep. See you next week.